Sean Thompson in for Dan and Amy. So, Sean, you remember this case? Remember a few years ago, home health care providers, let's say you're taking care of an aged parent or whatever. They didn't want to have to join a union in order to do that.
Paint Chips Pat Quinn wanted them in a union because the union paid them off.
Well, they would unionize everything. They'd unionize your children and your dog if they could. Well, the case went all the way up to the Supreme Court, a 5-4 decision in favor of the home health care providers. The First Amendment prohibiting the collection of an agency fee from the home health care providers who did not wish to join or support a union. Well, that didn't exactly decide the entire case because there still was the question of the dues that had been illegally seized. And that case went to was remanded back to the Illinois District Court, which ruled that the illegally seized dues did not have to be given back. And SEIU, of course, is fighting this. Now the case is up to the Seventh Circuit, where it's going to be argued this very morning. We are joined by Mark Mix, the president of the National Right to Work Foundation. Thanks for being with us today, Mark. We appreciate it. And,
gentlemen, my pleasure. Yeah.
And tell us what is going to be argued before the Seventh Circuit this morning.
Well, really, it's a quite simple question, Bruce and Sean. You've described the case and the history of this case very well in the opening. But today, the argument will be that because this fee that was created all the way back, actually, in the early 2000 by then-Governor Rod Blagojevich, by executive order, allowing the Service Employees International Union to collect a fee, to skim a fee, if you will, off of home health care providers, that were doing nothing more than, at least our eight clients in the original lawsuit were mothers who were taking care of their own children in their own home.
Man.
And the union was able to skim up to about $800 a year off of a stipend they were receiving to provide this care. It was a Medicaid stipend, and the union was saying, "Well, we'll take this money and we'll speak for you in Springfield, Illinois. We'll go down there and speak for you, but you're not really government employees. You're not going to negotiate over anything. No vacation, no retirement, no benefits. The only thing you are is you're a government employee for the purposes of the state of Illinois to extract this fee from you." And over the course of this process, the unions got pretty financially healthy. And the question obviously ended up at the Supreme Court, as you mentioned, back in 2014. And the court ruled that this government union was speaking politically. And if they're speaking politically, then the folks that they were allegedly speaking for had First Amendment rights. And so the whole scheme was struck down as unconstitutional. Well, the question remains, what happens to all that money that was in the pot that has already been forwarded to the SEIU and used for politics and other things? Can they get that money back because it was unconstitutional to begin with? And that's the question in front of the Seventh Circuit.
Mark, the money's gone. Have you seen Topinka? Are you kidding me? He's got an eating habit to support. See, this is what I really want to come out of this case. I want a forensic audit of SEIU because it is nothing but a shill and a front group of campaign contributions so that politicians can protect them, giving them a monopoly on labor that we, the citizens, pay for. Is that ever going to happen, Mark? Or are we just going to be subjected to frauds and failures like Paint Chips Pat Quinn and Rod Blagojevich just keep writing executive orders so we keep the beat going and we, the citizens, are victims and we pay for our own demise? What's going to happen?
Well, this case has actually exposed all of that, and I think the awareness level of this case, as it made its way through the court process into the Supreme Court, actually exposed exactly what you're talking about, Sean, and it is this kind of payola system that's created by government unions. I mean, it's unique in the sense that there's a private organization that gets between taxpayers and elected officials, uses those elected officials to expand their power so they can collect more money, so they can give more money to elected officials. It's this vicious cycle that goes, and we're on pretty firm ground here, both left and right, because it was Franklin Roosevelt that said it's unthinkable that we would unionize government employees and subject them to the same type of bargaining model that exists in the private sector, because the government, by definition, is providing quote-unquote necessary services. Now, we know that can be debated these days, but the bottom line is this scheme is something that people are paying attention to, and we believe there's another case coming out of Illinois called Janus. We'll be filing a petition for certiorari in the Supreme Court within the next 2 weeks that will basically say, okay, if you said this for home health care providers in Illinois and across the country, let's apply this to every government employee across America, and let's get them out of the compulsory unionism scheme that forces them to pay a fee to a union to get or keep a job.
Teachers, too? We could get the teachers?
Teachers, too. Okay. Teachers, too. Yeah, this is a follow-up case that Governor Rauner brought when he was first put in office. He brought this case asking the controller of the state of Illinois to withhold the compulsory fees for non-member government employees, non-union member government employees. And, of course, Attorney General Madigan decided that she didn't want to agree with the governor on this, and so she filed a lawsuit. Governor Rauner was bounced out of the case by a judge, and we were allowed to proceed with the case with the Illinois Policy Institute. We are proceeding with the case, and we will be filing a petition with the U.S. Supreme Court to protect teachers, bus drivers, janitors, every government employee in America from compulsory unionism using the Harris v. Quinn decision that came out of Illinois in 2014.
Well, here's your problem. Where's that Topenka, or whatever his name is, the fat guy from the SEIU? Where does he sit during these presidential balls? He sits right next to who? The First Lady. See, this is my problem. You got 4 Supreme Court justices that sided with this atrocity. So, in my opinion, the fix is in. That's why the Democrat judge who was appointed threw out the case around her. So it's going to be a nail-biter, but God bless you. I hope you win.
Well, it is an important one, and it raises and it gets to the point to finish the question of whether or not this scheme that allows a private organization to collect dues and fees and then turn it around and use it for politics is going to be upheld, or it's going to be looked at by a new court that says, hey, if the First Amendment rights apply for home health care providers under the same scheme, why shouldn't it apply for teachers?
Well, it'll be interesting to see if when Anthony Kennedy leaves the court we get another Gorsuch up there. So take your time on this is what I'm
and
what
audit
I'm saying.
the union, audit the books.
Okay.
I want to see who they paid and how much.
Mark Mix,
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us very much. We were educated. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you, gentlemen.
Mark Mix, president of the National Right to Work Foundation.